Right, it's great to be here. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me.
You guys have had a very exciting last few weeks with the launch of World in the US, which I think is a massive event. And Proof of Human, I think, is having probably its most critical moment now with the inflection of AI. The problem of knowing whether you're interacting with a human on the internet is greater than ever. I think back in the 90s there was that line, like, on the internet, nobody knows you're a dog. And I think in 2025 it very much is on the internet, nobody knows that you're a bot. So that'll be probably a theme of the next decade. Why don't you talk a little bit about World and about the US launch and how that went?
Yeah, so we just recently launched the US with the new administration, and of course, like a much more friendly environment. And given Sam is a co-founder, we historically have been extremely cautious around policy topics. So that's why we only did that now. And the idea for this launch was really to get a lot of attention, get people really talk about it, but slowly ramp up the actual operation in the country. So we now have locations in many of the major cities in the US, actually still not in New York because of with the regulatory situation here as well.
Yeah, it would have been nice to have an orb.
It would have been nice.
Accelerate.
We don't have it here, but we have it in San Francisco, LA, Austin, and many other cities, and it's really going to ramp up. So by the end of the year, we will have 12,000 devices in the US. So it's going to be pretty much everywhere. Yeah, well, and generally speaking, as you mentioned, I think Proof of Human right now has a little bit of a moment, and I think it will become much more of a topic in the coming months. People really, especially also like the big platforms, recognize now that this is a big issue, a big topic for them. And so yeah, we have many exciting updates coming. What did you think of the launch?
I thought it was great. Very good execution, lots of excitement around it. Did a good job at getting the message across. I think and the orbs, I think, are also looking incredible. I haven't been at any one of the retail locations because I'm in New York, and so I'm waiting for the moment when New York becomes a hub. But I have gotten my eyes scanned. I think actually I may have been the first person to get scanned with
first one in the US. Yeah,
the New York, in the US at your office, and that was an incredible experience. So very excited to see where it goes from here. Actually, I was having a conversation with Eddie Lazarin on our team. He's our CTO, and he was telling me about a story you told him about this research project that was conducted in the University of Zurich. That was fascinating. And so maybe I'll let you tell, if you know what I'm talking about, I'll let you tell the story, because I think it really drives home the point about why Proof of Human is important.
Yeah, one of the more interesting situations that happened recently, and I think made it into kind of public press, there was this experiment by University of Zurich, and they had AIs respond to comments on Reddit, and not only that, but they had the AIs previously fine-tuned on the profiles of an individual. So, like, say you have someone post a thread, you have an AI previously check out the profile, their political orientations, their ideas, their concerns, and then had this AI interact with that human on the platform. And I actually don't remember the exact data, but they were able to change the public opinion on these subreddits very, very drastically. And so that turned out to be a big problem for Reddit. And I think it's like an outlook of where we're going. I think by default, everything on the internet will be not trusted, or we won't know where it's coming from, versus like until pretty recently, the opposite was the case. And so yeah, I think Proof of Human is going to be a big one, but there's chances for many more attestations that I think like other startups should take on and should build. So yeah, fundamental platform shift in that direction, I think.
Yeah, I think it is insane that a little lab, a research lab over in Zurich could do this, like could actually fundamentally shift the consensus view inside of a Reddit subgroup about something controversial with just a couple thousand AI agents, because a research lab is not a nation state, right? And so you can only imagine what would be possible down the line. This was just a research project. If someone wanted to actually operationalize something like this, you can see how important it becomes to have some sense of whether or not you're talking to a human.
And the thing we discussed since really the formation of the company, given we had the OpenAI perspective, was that eventually the systems will be truly superhuman in all of those domains. They will be superhuman profilers, persuasion, everything. And so it's kind of, you will debate a superhuman system that will just try to change your mind. And yeah, it's not just debates on Reddit, it's going to be video streams, the content we watch and see. So it's going to be a big thing.
Yeah, it's extremely exciting.
What is exciting to you right now in general?
Well, I think the most exciting near-term thing from our vantage point is likely stablecoin adoption. And this is following, hopefully, what will be the introduction of legislation, hopefully next month. The stablecoin bill will hopefully pass. And then later in the year, maybe the market structure bill, or maybe early next year. And then I think that combined with the increased interest from traditional financial institutions who are now entering the space for real, issuing stablecoins or integrating stablecoins into their workflows, will, I think, become a very legitimizing force for the space as a whole. Yep. And it will give crypto finally its first true killer use case, where now you have, ideally, hundreds of millions of people who use crypto in one way or another. And as that begins to happen, I think it will legitimize the space to the point at which all of the other things that we've wanted to see happen in the space can begin to happen too. And that'll include, I think, most immediately DeFi, because once you have stablecoins on chain, it's very straightforward. It's not a great leap to think that you could have all sorts of other assets on chain, and that those can actually now take part in a programmable financial system, namely DeFi. And then beyond DeFi, there are a million other use cases that I think we and many others have talked about what crypto can really do. If we have a narrative change about what crypto is about, those things can hopefully finally come to the fore and begin to work. So that's what's most kind of exciting at a high level.
Are there any specific use cases you would steer younger builders or earlier builders towards with stablecoins right now? Like, where do you see opportunity?
I think a lot of the actual sort of the full stack of being able to use stablecoins in a way that's straightforward continues to be very much in development, and there are probably many opportunities at various parts to make it very seamless, user-friendly, efficient, fast, cheap. A lot of it obviously comes down to the infrastructure, so it's great that layer one blockchains like Solana exist, because now you're at the point where you have the ability to move an arbitrary amount of money for under a cent in fees, or order of, and then in under a second. And that's really kind of like the table stakes baseline after which this becomes extremely compelling. So then on top of that, you just have to build the whole stack to make it very intuitive for users, for developers, for financial institutions to really drive the use cases home.
What about crypto AI intersection? Something that people really like to talk about. What is interesting there?
Yeah, that feels like it's a big trend. I mean, one of the biggest problems in the world because of AI currently is the problem that you guys are solving, just being able to make sense of all of the media that emerges because of AI, some of which will be pretending to be human or pretending to be derived from humans. And so having proof of humanity, I think that is like a really cool way in which crypto is a counterweight for AI. Another kind of vector here within the intersection of these two worlds is decentralizing the actual AI infrastructure itself. So there are various projects, one of which we've invested in. It's called Jensen, that is building a network that acts as a kind of marketplace for compute. So on one side, if you have, say, an idle GPU, you can contribute it to the network, and then on the other side, someone on the demand side can then use your GPU to execute some kind of machine learning workload, and the network will do all of the complex orchestration to, say, bring together a large number of GPUs to be able to run large machine learning workloads and make it all work. And that can help democratize access to compute for machine learning workloads. It can also help run AI workloads that are verifiable, which is, I think, that the main thing that running an AI workload on a cloud wouldn't really be able to provide. So that's one whole other trend. And then I think maybe there's like a futuristic idea, which I think some people are working towards, but it's likely far out, which is using crypto to build new business models for the internet in a world of AI. And the main problem that AI introduces is that the core business model of the internet begins to be turned on its head. Whereas today, if you create content, like for example, you write a blog post and you put it online, part of what you expect is that, like, say the search engines will ultimately drive traffic to your blog post. And then another player in that whole value chain is the advertiser, who expects to be featured whenever you as a user go through the search engine to eventually get to the blog post. And this all kind of assumes that as a user, you're ultimately looking for that ultimate piece of content that the internet helps you find, and that you will eventually click through to get to it. In a world of AI, you might not actually need to click through to anything, because the AI system, ChatGPT or whatever it may be, will just give you the answer straight out, and you won't ever have to actually go beyond that step. So then the whole core business model of the internet might have to change. So one idea is that if you could build a way of tracing attribution for the way that an LLM was trained, say you could know that an output of an LLM was trained by specific data sources, then you could build a system that rewards the people who contributed that data in the first place. And that, for example, could be a new business model for the internet, for AI. It could lead to all sorts of other new kinds of opportunities. And crypto could be part of how all of that, how that system ultimately works. It's a very hard problem, and so I think it might be far out. It's hard to know, actually, how to really attribute how it is that an LLM derives its value from the data that it's trained on. But there are people who are researching that problem, and I think it's a very interesting area of work.
What do you think agents will change, or strongly agentic AI?
Yeah, I think one really interesting trend as well is having AI agents that are part of your kind of inner circle. And I think you and I have talked quite a bit about how it may be possible to delegate a lot of the work or a lot of your authority to an AI agent. And this actually kind of nicely intersects with World. So actually, maybe if you want to talk a little bit about that, I think that's also very interesting.
Yeah, so internally we discussed agents for a while now. And now is actually the time where we start sprinting towards it, really, because I think later Q4, I would expect the first kind of open source competent agentic system to come out. And I think that is actually a really big chance for kind of crypto stacks to be part of the core infrastructure. And one of the things that we have discussed is the idea of delegation. So you delegate your wallet, your credentials, your proof of human, whatever it is. You set rules for your agent, and then the agent interacts with other services and products on your behalf.
Yeah, I think that is a fascinating area. So I see 15 minutes is a kind of an egregious constraint. I see that we're out of time, but Alex, thank you.
Thank you.
Great
Thanks,
chatting,
Ali.
as always.